And welcome to Back Issues. I'm Sal.
I'm Ethan.
And I'm Ben.
If you haven't already guessed, we're doing the Maxx. This is a book that I've been meaning to do forever. I say that a lot on this show.
Meaning to do.
Well, I've always wanted to talk about the Maxx, but I've always maintained that it's like poison to this channel because 18 people have read this book.
Right.
But
right.
I'll have you know that is not correct.
Yeah.
There are enough people that has warranted an inexplicable crossover that's coming up this week. Batman versus the Maxx.
No.
By Sam Kieth.
That's awesome.
As a joint publishing venture between IDW and DC Comics. Now,
Wow.
you might
That's
notice
crazy.
that your old Maxx copies have an Image logo on them, and that's because the Maxx was part of the second wave of the Image takeover of comics.
Second wave.
Yeah, so Todd and Liefeld and everybody, they bail, they make Image, they become like the number 2 publisher in a 2-publisher system, now 3, and they're riding high and they're making waves and they're blowing doors off of industries and whatnot, and so other artists are either getting talked into or just lured by the siren call of success to Image. So one of the second generation creators was Sam Kieth, and Sam Kieth had made some progress in a number of cover and interior works. His most notable works at that time were stuff like Marvel Team Up. He did this crazy book where if you read, it was like half an issue, and then you flipped it upside down, and there's another half of an issue on the other side.
I hate those.
I do too. I digress.
He's an innovator, though.
Oh, he didn't. It wasn't his idea.
Oh.
It was just that he drew, but it was his idea
did
was
one.
Yes, and his art was very different from anyone else's.
I
And-
will agree with that.
Yeah, and you'd look at it and you go, "That's Sam Kieth." Boom, immediately.
Yeah.
And he also did a bunch of cover work during the Nightfall saga, which
Oh no.
oh yeah, and it's like, oh, Sam Kieth, like, and it did not. He didn't do the interiors. He just did the covers, and
It's like a cracked mirror version of them.
yeah, kind of. I mean, like, it was definitely them.
Right.
It's not like Arkham Asylum and Serious House and Serious Earth, where like that art is like technically the Joker, but it's also like a weird nightmare version of him. This is kind of like just that's a weird way to draw those characters. And it's
I've
interesting.
never remembered them looking like that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And now this is going to be more of like a back to basics, first like 2 or 3 episodes of back issues, kind of back issues, because I'm not really going to talk about
Like
the
plot
story
of the Maxx.
because
does it like
Is there
have
one?
a story?
it starts to,
Ah.
and then it ends with one.
Okay.
But in between, it just kind of like becomes something else. And the phenomenon of the Maxx is actually more interesting than like reading the Maxx.
I have to say, I remember
phenomenon.
seeing a couple episodes of the Maxx
Okay.
on MTV's Liquid Television.
Yes, we will get to Liquid Television / MTV's Oddities / the Maxx in a minute, because that is kind of like, I don't believe that ever happened. I can't believe that actually occurred. It did happen. I saw it happen, and don't tell me it didn't happen. But I watched every single episode. I taped every episode. Because when I was a kid, I loved the Maxx. Why did I love the Maxx? Well, when I was the age I was when the Maxx was coming out, I saw
93.
this. 93.
Yeah.
March 93, this book comes out. And it's something I've never seen before. It's different but similar, right? Hulking superhero.
Yeah.
But like, I've never seen anything like this.
Why does he have these giant like spikes coming out of his
Right,
hand?
what-
But it's
what
like
is
a
all
big,
this?
thick spike. You got the
It's-
splatter.
And the fact that it's Image, and I was already reading Spawn,
Right.
meant this is something different.
And a whole lot of blood splatter.
a little dangerous.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's nothing dangerous.
Maybe
about this book.
corrupting.
But
a
yeah,
bit.
exactly. And then you pick it up, and the first page is just the word Maxx a million times with this onomatopoeia of chung.
Yeah.
The idea that like chung, like it's just the drums in the Max's head. And
Oh, that's what that is. I thought everyone was Wang Chunging tonight.
yeah. I don't.
Drums
I
in the
think not.
And then you turn the page, you got this like bombshell.
Yeah, this sexy lady. What's
Yeah.
interesting about Sam Kieth's women, they are beautiful, but they also are not the standard that Image or comics was giving you.
Oh, it's like with a waist about yay big.
They look like
Right.
human beings.
Yeah.
But they're still drawn by Sam Kieth, so they're a little weird.
Mm-hmm.
Julie Winters does not have, Julie Winters is the protagonist, more or less, of the book. She does
Not
not
the
have
Maxx?
a six-pack. No.
The book's called The Maxx, and the Maxx is not the protagonist.
Because Sam Keith is a businessman. He knows that the Maxx sells books, but it's really about Julie. And then really it's not even about Julie at the end, it's about Sarah. But like, we'll get there. But like,
Wait, who the hell is Sarah?
Yeah, exactly. But in 1993, little boy, he picks up this book.
Yeah.
I'm not alone picking up this book, by the way, because thankfully, number one, my parents aren't looking at the books I'm picking up because they think the comics are for children, and that there's some governing body that's keeping this horrible trash from getting to me. There's some barrier. There's no barrier. Spoilers, Mom and Dad. But I looked up the sales records for the Maxx #1. And I couldn't find them, but I did look up the sales records for Maxx #2.
Okay.
The Maxx pre-orders 585,000 copies.
What?
Of the Maxx #2. Nobody even, and after the first issue, you have no freaking idea who the Maxx is, what it's all
or
about.
what's happening.
I don't even know. And it's like billed as a superhero. It's so clearly not in any way. And for whatever reason, I was captivated by the iconography of this book, the look of the Maxx, the twisted, sick world. And thankfully, because I was reading Spawn at the time, Spawn helped me get used to the grit. So I was used to this kind of like miserable urban setting.
I mean, he lives in an alley just like Spawn does.
And oddly enough, they never cross over.
That's weird.
They never bump into the same alley.
To be fair,
There are a lot of alleys and a lot of cities.
No, not even there's a lot of alleys and cities. I don't want that.
Oh,
I don't
really?
want Al Simmons' world to cross with the Max's world.
All I
The Max's
wanted
world
was
is
that.
weird.
All I wanted was Simmons and Maxx to meet. I've always wanted to see a Spawn Maxx crossover, and I've never seen it to this day. That said, so the Maxx is this book that, by the way, if you ever like see interviews with Sam Keith, Sam Keith, creator of the Maxx, although not the author of the first number of issues. The scripting is actually done by a guy named William Mesner-Loebs. And Bill Loebs, or Mesner-Loebs, incidentally, over the last year or so, has become homeless. Sam Keith is the progenitor of the Maxx in every respect. Just that Keith didn't trust his own scripting, so he's like, Bill, could you do this? And Mesner-Loebs had written a number of books at that time, top quality. He wrote a lot of Wonder Woman at that time. And yeah, no, he became homeless, and
Okay.
there's been a bunch of Kickstarter efforts to help him out, and I'm sure there's one going on right now. So if you check the description, I'm sure there's going to be an Indiegogo link for you to help him out if he still needs help.
The fact that Image is drinking their own Kool-Aid right now is the fact that in Maxx #1,
Yes.
there is already an ad for the Maxx trading cards coming from Topps.
Oh, big time.
From Topps.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Oh, yeah, no.
Topps, yeah.
And here's the thing. If you ever read an interview with Sam Keith about anything, but much less about the Maxx, even from 93 up till 2018, dude is the most self-deprecating, unenthusiastic, totally disbelieving sort you've ever seen, who's just like, you want to talk to me at the Maxx? Like, why? How many people even remember the Maxx? When the Maxx was coming out, he was like, I don't understand why people are reading this. I don't know why they want to read it. I don't like when
What?
people were talking
Then
about
why
the
did you write
show.
it, man?
When MTV came to him and said like, we're going to make a show, he was like, why? Like he was so hesitant, and they were like, we're going to make you a producer on the show, and he's like, why?
That doesn't make any sense.
Doesn't make any sense. I don't know anything about TV production. Like, it's just straight up, just completely. But you know what's funny about that? Signed off on all those stupid trading cards. Dude has no. By the way, when the book finally ends, in issue 35, there are 35 issues of the Maxx. The Maxx is published from 1993 to 1998, which means there were 5 years of Maxx books.
Yeah, that's 60 months.
7 books a year. So in the
Wow.
5 years that there were Maxx books, he eventually lost his way in the story and had to do one of those god-awful time jumps,
Oh no.
which actually really put a bullet in the series as far as my interest.
Yeah.
But and then it just went completely off the rails. And you'll hear him in interviews during that time and post Maxx, where he's like, yeah, I just kind of lost interest, or I kind of lost my way, or I didn't know what I was doing, or just this very flippant, I don't care, and I never really did in the first place attitude. Well, if that's the case, Sam, what are all these cards here for? Yes, that's right. I have Maxx cards.
Don't forget these.
Now, here's the thing about Maxx cards, all right? The Maxx starts out as kind of a mystery. because you meet Maxx.
And you're like, what is this guy?
What is this guy?
Yeah.
So you know his name isn't Maxx because there's 2 X's.
And it's the Maxx.
Right? So his name isn't Maxx. They call him Maxx, but it's kind of like because they don't have anything else to call him, because his name is a mystery. There's this dude in this thing, and he's not really like, he doesn't really want to be the Maxx. He talks about how he doesn't have a TV now, but that's okay because the shows in his mind are almost always better. So you're like, oh, there's something going on in his mind. He's
crazy.
He's crazy.
Yeah.
Sam Kieth makes these friggin' cards, right? And basically there's this mystery going on. And what they promise in the mystery and in the letters page of the Maxx called Maxx Tracks, which Sam Kieth will maintain throughout the entire series, and it's actually a great like proto message board for Sam Kieth to communicate with the audience and for the audience to like talk about mental illness and their own experiences with like depression and homelessness and stuff like that. It's actually a really cathartic place for Maxx fans who would eventually become like friends of the Maxx fans to be like to communicate and become part of a community.
That's cool, but weird at the same time.
Right? But it's also like basically the internet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But in Maxx Tracks or in an interview or God knows where, but Sam Kieth promises that in the Maxx trading cards, there will be clues that are not found in the comics as to indications of the mystery and identities of these characters.
Yeah, I bet there are.
Oh, that sucks.
Is it? But isn't it neat that like you get to like go on this neat scavenger hunt and try to like, because all these
well,
cards,
if
they
it
have
works.
right, and it kind of does.
Okay.
You're like,
so he didn't just make that up to sell more cards.
I mean, he definitely did, but he also put that information in these cards.
'Cause
Okay.
here's the thing. They're just pictures from the comic book.
Yes.
Well,
But every once in a while, I notice something's different. Like in this one, her top is green instead of red.
This is true, and they did do that.
I don't know if that's a clue or if that's
Straight
just
up
the
not a
color
clue.
being
That's
weird.
just they changed the color. But
I would get this entire thing wrong.
yeah, you'd be like, okay, there's a color scheme going on in the Maxx. Anything that's
figured it
green
out.
is a lie. No, but there are some weird like special cards. Like I remember there's one of a guy called the Seedbringer who has a mask on that looks like the Maxx's mask.
Okay.
And there's
Wait,
talking
that's
about
a mask?
yeah,
Yeah.
the Maxx's face is a mask.
Like part of the costume, right?
Yeah, the idea is originally that there was this guy who haplessly put on this mask and he can't take it off. And if you try to take it off, like the mask will bite your fingers off.
Oh.
Yeah.
Gross.
And that a costume kind of sprung from it.
Okay.
Weird.
The reason why he has like these kind of like oddly wet yellow kind of like not gloves is because we got to talk about the Outback. The Outback is
Australia?
okay.
Yeah, what does Australia have to do with this book?
That's what Mr. Gunn calls it. No, that's what Maxx calls it because Maxx is an idiot.
Okay.
But the idea is, all right. So we talked a little bit about like the cards and stuff and the chicanery around the Maxx. Okay, so the Maxx is actually a story about broken people, and it's hard to tell like who is supposed to be likable and who's supposed to be the bad guy because everyone is just broken and unhappy. And so the idea is that your ride-along character or your protagonist, seemingly, is the Maxx, who is this clueless homeless guy who, because he's dressed like this, people think is a superhero.
Okay.
But he's actually not. He never does anything superheroic at all.
Well, he
Well,
saved
you saved
that
the
girl.
woman in the beginning.
Who then immediately was raped
but
by
that's,
the
he
bad
got
guy.
arrested.
Okay.
That wasn't his fault.
Yeah, but
Fair point.
that's one of the only things that's heroic that he does in the real world. In the Outback, which is like the other side of reality, he is the Maxx, who is this like hulking protector of the ruler of this Outback, the Jungle Queen, who is literally just Julie Winters in a skimpy leotard.
So it's like an alternate reality.
Yes.
Where
Is it-
it's like Oz. We're like, and you were there.
Yes.
And you were there.
It's like Oz.
Yeah.
Only it's all taking place in Julie Winters' mind.
Wait,
Because
the
in her
Outback
mind.
is
the
taking place
Outback is in her
mind?
mind, and Maxx somehow managed to get kind of like trapped in there.
Okay, so it's not like
Oh.
we only see it from her mind and he has no idea what she's talking about. He's trapped in a portion of her mind.
It's
Yeah.
like Inception.
Or her skewed reality.
She creates the dream.
Yeah, but
and then
she's not
he's in
aware,
the-
and she's not aware of it really. The idea is, well, we'll get into her origins in a minute, but like,
Okay.
So the Jungle Queen,
is Julie's like,
like id or something.
yeah, because the idea is that like, Julie was a sensitive girl who was raised by a sensitive father and a proactive, kind of like pro-feminist mom. And I say pro-feminist in terms of like she's a strong, independent, working woman who cares for her family and does what's necessary.
Okay.
And one day, when she's a little girl, Julie, there is a rabbit that gets hit by a car, and it isn't dead.
Okay.
And Julie and her dad don't know what to do about it because they're kind of like sensitive people who are like, oh no, this poor thing.
Like they want to help it, but at the same time, like how?
Yes. And so Julie takes it and puts it in a shoebox and keeps it in her room, hoping that it'll get better. But all it does is slowly die.
Right.
And the scratching and desperation from the rabbit under her bed.
Why are you telling us this?
That's the origin of Julie Winters. So the mom finally goes in there and finds the rabbit and then mercifully puts it out of its misery in the garage.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
But Julie sees that as a like act of violence and never really forgives her mother for killing the rabbit. Because for Julie, she's like, I tried to save the rabbit, and then you took it from me and you killed it.
Right.
Even though she was ill-equipped to do it, and she can't really understand like all of that.
Does she get it later on in her life where she's like, my mom did the right thing?
No. This informs who Julie is throughout her entire life.
Okay.
Interesting.
And so while Julie is...
So the Maxx is the rabbit.
Yes. Straight up.
Ah.
Well, and more than that, the rabbit is her spirit animal, her protector that like is supposed to care for her.
Is that the rabbit?
That's a crabbit from the outback. It's a part crab, part rabbit.
Okay, because I saw a rabbit-like creature with crab hands. I was like,
Yeah.
is this some weird
Yeah.
twisting?
No, that's a crabbit. That's what they look like.
Technically the great northern crabbit. They can jump and land and have few predators except for the is, which are
they-
the
Is
is.
Are
is
those
that the
these
mouth
guys?
thing?
Yes, that's the mouth thing.
Wait,
Ah.
what are these guys?
Those are also is. Is in the outback are these white, vicious, horrible eating machines. When they're pulled from the outback into our world, they become like black and malformed. They're basically the same,
Okay.
although in
They're
our
all malformed.
Yes,
Yeah.
but-
They're all just mouths with like arms and legs.
yeah, but in our world, if you dress them like something, they appear to regular people as the thing you dress them as.
Okay.
So Mr. Gone has somehow managed to tap into Julie's outback and subsequently other outbacks as well.
Okay.
And
Wait, other outbacks?
oh yeah, the idea is that like people make their own outbacks. That everyone has kind of like their own outback.
Okay, so since
Okay.
it's happening in her mind and it's what she perceives, other
Yeah.
people can perceive a different type of reality.
Yeah,
or a
well,
certain
everybody has their own.
subconsciousness.
Everybody has their own spirit animal or Maxx, and everybody has their own outbacks. And their outbacks don't have to be like oddly Seussical, monstrous desert wastelands. They can all.
Okay.
They can be just a simple like room or a library or
Okay.
a science fiction.
So they're not
fantasy
all Australia.
No, Julie's was informed by her uncle Artie, who is this like who's Mr. Gone. The idea is that Mr. Gone,
Aw.
yeah, Mr. Gone was her father's friend from college who used to come over and
Babysit.
he was, you know, as a kid, I always thought that because Mr. Gone was like a serial rapist and murderer, and that Julie was hurt sometime during her youth, i.e. raped, that Mr. Gone was the rapist because he's so connected to her and because throughout the beginning of the series, Mr. Gone will not only like call her and like torment her, but eventually he does kidnap her and dress her up in this like weird, sexy outfit and force her to like be there as a prize. And so I assumed that that's like his kind of victory over what he did to her when they were kids. No, he didn't rape her at all. No, he was just there. He's actually the one who who regales them about the stories about where he's come from, about the outback and Pangea, and Julie invents this kind of like crazy place from her Uncle Artie's stories about where he's coming from. And like some of them are technically Australia, and some of them are other people's outbacks, because Artie, that's actually his name, Artie is this like lost and broken dude who was sexually abused by his aunt, and then later on transferred his like abuse and neglect and pain and hatred towards women onto his like wives. Like his first wife was also abusive, and then they eventually break up, and then he meets somebody else, and then he projects his hatred of women onto her.
Okay.
And through a couple of relationships, he eventually winds up having a kid whose name is Sarah. And Sarah becomes the new protagonist of the story like halfway through because clearly Kieth just loses interest in the story and then wants to switch it up.
Okay.
And Sarah is a character we'll get into in a minute. But the idea is that like eventually Artie tells his wife about his like sexual frustration and his misery and his hate and his pain and his like frustrations with women. And he confides in his wife that like he's afraid he might actually like transfer some of that hate to Sarah, which makes her leave him. And they concoct an idea where they're like, we'll tell her you killed yourself so that she never looks for you. And he adopts a new identity of Mr. Gone because he's not there for her, his daughter, anymore.
Okay.
That does make sense.
The idea of Sarah growing up believing that her father killed himself makes her really fucked up. And resentful. And eventually she finds out that her father is Mr. Gone, who is a serial rapist and murderer, which makes her even more messed up.
Yeah.
But she also is an aspiring writer, and she believes that writers need to have tragedy and misery in their lives in order to become better writers. So she thinks it's all good for her anyway.
Okay.
So the main players of the Maxx are Maxx, Julie, Sarah, and Gone. Until later, and later sucks, so we'll barely talk about it.
Okay.
But the mythology of the Outback was kind of like some of the mystery that I thought was going to be inherent in the story.
Right.
And it isn't. Like the Seedbringer and the mask and everything like that. No. So the idea is that like when Julie was hurt, what happened was she was I think a college student or a grad student. She was a college student. But she was in school and she stopped to help a homeless person who raped her.
Yikes.
And she basically wore that trauma on her arm. She adopts this odd feminist ideal that like rape comes from when you ask for it, and that like victims are victims because they let themselves be victims. And so she has very little sympathy or patience for people who like have gone through trauma and pain. And
so she blames herself
big time
for herself getting raped? Okay.
Yes. And then later on, she will...
I can understand that mentality a little bit because then it's at least not powerlessness.
And
Right.
it's also...
Like, it's my fault, I take blame for it. It's not like something that was entirely out of my
not a
control.
It's
totally
also a
random
chapter in an
thing.
actual feminist ideals book. Like, it's a real concept that people write about. I don't subscribe to it, but I also like understand that it's a real thing people actually like.
Well, they
dig
go
into.
through it, yeah.
Yeah, and by the way, Julie and Sarah's mom become friends, and they have totally conflicting ideologies. But that like makes them better friends. Like they argue all the time. And
Okay.
Sarah doesn't get it. She's like, why are you friends if all you do is argue? It's like because that's fun. That's the joy of having a person who's like your intellectual equal and you challenge yourselves.
Well, I mean, they're also related, right?
No.
Not by blood, but like by
No. Julie was
Artie's. Just a friend.
yes.
Oh, I'm sorry,
Artie,
just a friend.
Yeah, Artie was like a fun uncle, like not a real
Not a real uncle.
Uncle
Not an
Artie.
A
right.
funkle.
a funkle. Yeah, Artie was her father's friend.
Okay.
Right.
And
Okay, sorry, I messed that up.
Sarah's father, who is just married to Sarah's mom. So actually, no, they're not related in any way.
Okay.
Yeah.
But there is some connection there. But there was like this weird like mystery about like, well, what is Mr. Gone's connection to Julie, and why is she so important, and how could she make this Outback? And the Outback itself gets more and more like complicated and crazy. Like you saw earlier, there's like a Susadon, which is like this weird like leopard creature. There's like there's air whales, and the Maxx.
Air whales?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Oh, I know. And
Show me an air whale.
all right, I'll pull it up.
What's that?
That's a Susadon.
Oh.
So,
So
Like a
does
Dr.
what
Seussian
happens-
creature?
yeah.
Does what happens in the Outback like parallel the real world?
See,
or
I
something?
thought that would be a thing they would want to do.
But no.
But no.
It's just totally random.
Well, like, the Outback was created by Julie, I think when the rabbit was killed, but it really came into being after she was raped, where she, like, created a persona to protect herself. And that was the Jungle Queen, and that was where, like, why the Outback is, like, also so, like, wild and miserable, and it attacks you at every minute, and it's, like, vicious, and, you know, it's
Like
as,
in everything
it's
in
filled
Australia
with-
can kill you.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Maxx gets connected to it because one day, long after her attack, she winds up accidentally hitting a homeless man with her car.
Oh.
And fearing what she went through the first time she encountered a homeless person, she just buries him in some garbage in the alley. Oh. And that guy was the Maxx.
Wow.
So
okay. Where's the rabbit?
Well, yeah, they keep alluding to a rabbit, like throughout the beginning of the story, where they're like, "What is?" When Mr. Gon first meets Maxx, he refers to him as Brer Lappin.
Okay.
Which
Briar Rabbit.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Was Savage Dragon just in there?
Yeah.
So they did cross over with stuff.
We will talk. Okay, let's talk about that because that's what this episode is.
Yeah.
Maxx was a second-generation Image character.
Yeah.
They're trying to sell books.
Right.
And listen, we did pre-order 880,000 copies, or 580,000 copies of the second issue, but like, you gotta like, it can't all be mind games and,
right.
and air whales.
You will lose them at one point.
Yeah.
Yes, and indeed they did.
Or never really get them.
Right, because it's so freaking confounding.
You'll stay on board for a little while of not understanding, but eventually
you're gonna
people are going to be like, this is too impenetrable.
Exactly. They were like, yeah, we're a publishing line. Like we got an interconnected universe like Spawn and Youngblood and oh, it was a good idea that we did that, because if we didn't, then Chapel wouldn't have killed Spawn, and then when Rob Liefeld left Image, we wouldn't have to like retcon it so that Chapel didn't kill Spawn. It's because it's an independent character, you see, and because like having an interconnected universe is really stupid when your whole publishing line is dependent on your characters in that universe all being separately owned by their own creators who can leave at any time.
Yeah.
That does make a shared universe a little bit of a problem.
Yes, and especially when like, oh, I don't know, you make an animated series out of your book and you have key issues that have like the Savage Dragon show up in them.
I gotta admit, I have no idea what's going on as you're flipping through these pages.
Yeah.
But I love some of the images I'm seeing.
The art in the Maxx is some of the best of Sam Keith's career, and that's something we should also talk about.
Well, what about Savage Dragon?
So Savage Dragon shows up because like that's like the most superhero book you've got.
Right.
Is that issue,
one issue
where the Savage Dragon shows up. The idea is that like Mr. Gon hires a shark character from the Savage Dragon books.
A street shark?
It looks like
it's pretty much a street shark.
It's like
that's what I pointed out when I was like, hey, that's
a street shark without the like rad clothes that they wear.
This is true. I think it's Mako. Mr. Gon hires Mako to kill Maxx.
Okay.
But then it turns out like Gon really needs Maxx and like relies on him to relay information to Julie.
So why would he have tried to kill him?
To do that. So everything's like weird, and it's clear that like Keith doesn't have like all the ideas.
Right. It's not like there's a central like thing that he was doing and he had it all worked out and he's laying out the pieces for you.
There ain't no Bible.
Right.
Where it's like this happens and then this happens and this happens and it's all a
so it's
plan.
like Lost.
You understand? I have it all. I've got everything that's going to happen ready.
Yes. It
No.
was exactly like Lost in that, unless Lost also had like spin-off books and action figures and toys. That's the thing. Same kid's like, I don't get why you like it so much. There's toys of the Maxx. Yeah? There's a show you produced. Trading cards.
Yep.
I'm sorry. You tried to make it as accessible to as many audiences as possible.
And then you made the
but
book
you
impenetrable.
don't get
No, I tried
why
to make
people
money on it. I made money from that. I didn't do it for like artistic integrity
He
or
definitely
anything.
did though, like because the book is impenetrable. Like,
No,
if he did
shut up.
If he did
I'm
it
horrible.
just for money, then this book wouldn't be nearly as esoteric as it is. So
Maybe he has to believe that it's like garbage so that like he won't feel bad that like more people didn't like it.
I think that's exactly what it is.
Or he has to believe that it's
because
garbage.
later he is like that.
Well, he has to believe it's garbage because it goes nowhere.
Well, also that.
Well, also because at the end, like Gon redeems himself, and you're like,
No.
he's a rapist and a murderer.
Right.
You don't get to
fucked up,
change it
man.
now.
Yeah, no.
Even if it is only 35 issues later. But he does. Like there's some talk about like, does Gon redeem himself? Like, does he actually believe that Gon's like, no, he clearly does. Because the book practically ends with Gon in like a better place, reunited with his daughter. Like he believes that Gon is savable, salvageable. So, yeah, Savage Dragon shows up because Mako is one of his villains.
Okay.
And Dragon never catches him or does anything. Maxx literally runs away from Mako the entire time.
And then
Mako
gives up.
Because Maxx is like doing like an arts and crafts project at Julie's house, and he accidentally superglues his claws to his hand so he can't like get him out and be effective. And then Mako attacks him, and he's like, oh man. And then Max winds up jumping into like a telephone cord factory, and they're using solvent to clean the cords, which dissolves the glue, which makes his claws free, so then he can kick the crap out of Mako, which he does.
So he like stabs Mako?
No, because you're ready for a cool superhero fight. Max's claws are free,
Shink.
and then because of the like the solvent
It's like flammable.
is like
or
flammable,
whatever.
and
Yeah.
like the actions of Mako like blasting through walls and crap, all buildings
destabilize it.
Yeah, it makes all buildings.
It's like
explode.
a nitro factory.
Yeah. So then,
Oh, you shook it too hard. It blew up.
yeah. So then, like it always happens.
Right.
But so then some cops who are actually Iz's dressed like cops, so
Oh,
people think they're
shit.
cops, are trying to take Max away. And Savage Dragon shows up and he's like, "No, I don't know who that is. That he's not part of Mako's team." So they take Mako away, and they leave Max. And then Max goes home and he's like, "That was weird."
Wow, it was messed up.
Yeah. Just like
And irrelevant because now things are just the way they were before that happened.
yeah. Yeah.
Thanks, Dragon Guy.
Right? Like, thanks for being
Bye.
in the book.
Thanks for stopping by.
What's funny is they could also like say on the cover like Savage Dragon's in this book.
Yep.
Pitt shows up in this issue. And they do. On the cover of that issue, they don't talk about Savage Dragon, but later on they're like, you gotta put if you're gonna do a character that shows up, you gotta put them on the cover.
Yep.
So they put like Pitt versus Max. Pitt is another second generation Image character that shows up. He also shows up in the Gen 13 first volume we did. And it's like, who's this? It's Hulk. But it's their own character.
That guy?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And Pitt winds up like screwed up and sucked over to the Outback with Max.
Oh.
And so, okay, the Outback.
Yeah. Sometimes he's in the Outback.
So,
and it seems to go back and forth.
Yes, the idea is that like when Julie hit Max with her car and then covered him in garbage, her stress and connection to her past event accidentally opened up kind of like a hole into her Outback.
Okay.
And so when she covered Max with a lampshade, the lampshade somehow bled into that universe and became a mask, which then attached to Max and made him into the Max.
Oh,
so what's
she made
happening
him
in
Max.
her
Yes.
Outback is bleeding into reality.
Yes. And then there's some interesting ideas laid forth in like the next like 3 issues that are about how maybe the Outback is the real world and the real world is the Outback, and no. Like let's not go there.
Right.
But,
That's also very lost.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like maybe the world where like people pay their bills and go to work is actually the fiction.
Here's your sky whale.
right.
Yeah, that's an air whale that was eaten by Iz.
Yikes.
And then-
And there's the air whale.
Air whale, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So does the Outback have her Outback? Does it have like cities and
No,
people?
no.
It's just Iz's and horrible
Monsters.
monsters and stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Julie
It's not a place you want to go.
Julie's the jungle queen and she
Right.
rules over it, and Max is her spirit animal that like protects her.
I see.
Even though
She
she
killed
creates the
him.
Jungle Queen identity because she needs to make herself powerful, but she still needs a protector.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because everybody has a spirit animal. And so Max embodies that spirit animal that like he
So before
interprets.
she hit him with her car, she didn't have a spirit animal?
her spirit
No,
animal was the
rabbit.
rabbit.
Oh.
and
now it's
but she
transferred,
needed
kind of.
Max to like kind of like get in there and kind of like help her like
Interesting.
through it, because at the end of the series she eventually does wind up back in her Outback, and she does have a Max when everything becomes whole at the end. When next you see the Max, he is an actual rabbit man. He's not like purple and weird looking and like vaguely rabbit like.
Huh.
So he finally becomes the real spirit animal she always envisioned.
Yeah, but that's very like removed from what the Max was to what it became, because like Kieth ends it on a really really miserable note around issue 20, and then he like feels bad that he like ruined it for everybody,
And then
so
goes
then he
back?
comes back and does 15 more issues.
I see.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah. No, the Max has 13 issues. If you want to like the Max,
Whoa,
Just
whoa.
read 1 to 13.
We didn't say
Is that
we
what this
wanted to
is?
like the Max.
no, if you want to get into the Max, this is actually more than that. But like, so Artie,
Yes.
he goes to Australia and meets these like Aboriginal people, and they teach him about the dreaming, which is like a state you can enter into. And so Artie comes back with this like knowledge of how to access the dreaming, and then he learns about people with outbacks, and he learns about we're calling them outbacks for the sake of like convenience.
Right.
But Artie winds up getting a storage unit in this like weirdly like circular storage place, and each storage unit has like stuff that belongs to people that then creates an outback for those people who own that stuff. And Artie finds out that he can like move between outbacks as a result of his learning about the dreaming. So Artie picks up a whole bunch of different like crazy skills and ideas from other people's realities, which he finds out are like mostly banal and uninteresting, because people have like because people are by and large not broken.
Also, their view of the world and how reality works is probably kind of straight and normal.
Exactly.
Right.
So then when he learns about Julie, he actually like winds up stealing some of her stuff and puts it in the storage unit, and then he can access her outback, and he's like, oh, this place is awesome.
Look at all these little white guys running around.
And then he pulls them into our world, and it makes them into like much more vicious meat-eating like creatures.
Okay. But they're pretty vicious in the Outback,
They're pretty vicious in the Outback too.
Yeah.
Gunn refers to them as like, you know, more terrible in the real world, but like, it's hard pressed to find that information.
No, yeah, but they're kind of like, not Langoliers, but they're more like critters.
Yes,
do
they're like
remind me of
critters.
Langoliers.
They're straight up critters.
They just eat.
Yeah, they're eating machines.
Little things with mouths.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Outbacks are like this weird escapist place that people create when they know to be able to do it, or if they're forced into knowing how to do it through, you know, connection to people who have connection to the dreaming.
Right. And most people don't actually experience it themselves.
Right.
It's like a
Subconscious thing.
it's subconscious,
It's,
or
in a way, dreaming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
Julie finds out about it basically through the Maxx, who she inadvertently sucked into her
Right.
fantasy world. And because Maxx is only like tangentially connected to it anyway, has a vague idea and understanding. So he has like a very simplistic, like, I have to protect Julie. Like in the Outback, and when he's in the Outback, he like loses memories of the real world, and he's just straight up in like protector mode, where he's like, the Jungle Queen is my like god, and I protect her, and this is this is my realm. Like he's like, this is where I'm from, man.
Right.
And that's visually indicated by Maxx having like this weird like headdress when he's in the Outback.
Right.
Which is that part of the mask? Who knows? Okay,
Yeah,
got
I
it.
don't know. But it's a good question. In the action figure, you can like add it to his head, so I don't know. But yeah, so Maxx doesn't really know, like he doesn't even know really like his own name, so he's happy to call himself the Maxx. But Maxes are spirit animals. So
Now, when he's in our reality, or Julie's normal reality,
when
I
he's
should
here,
say,
yeah.
like he remembers the fact that the Outback exists.
Yes, but only like splinters of it, and he doesn't have control over when he goes to the Outback either. So he's kind of like just an accidental passenger in Julie's whims. And even then, Julie doesn't necessarily even like consciously go there. You know, it's just kind of like, oh, like he'll just wake up and be like, I'm here now.
Julie knows about both the Outback and her reality, though.
Yes.
And
Well, she eventually learns about the Outback. Like Maxx keeps telling her all about like his stories from going back to the Outback and stuff like that. And he's like, you're the Jungle Queen and stuff like that. And she kind of like knows it but doesn't know it. You know what I mean?
Okay. It when he says it like there's
Yeah.
some, like she recognizes some truth to it. but
Right,
doesn't,
and Gon
like,
keeps, like-
literally know it.
And Gon also like thinks he needs to tell Julie more about like her tragedy and her like experiences, because Julie's clearly like pushed a lot of like her trauma to the back of her mind.
and I imagine that also pushes the Outback down in her consciousness.
Yeah, so it's much more like vicious and weird and hard to like remember where you come from and stuff like that.
Well, like, why would I want to remember this personality that I've created for myself in order to be strong? Because the creation of that personality
Right.
is from a traumatic event in my life that I want to push down.
Yeah, I don't know if she's consciously trying to like keep the Jungle Queen at bay. It's more that she's just kind of like, at first when he tells her about the Jungle Queen, he's like, oh yeah, you have a crazy weird sexual dream about me being in like a leopard print outfit.
Right.
That makes sense. You're a creepy dude.
Right. Right.
But she also knows that she's like connected to Maxx in some way, and so she like keeps bailing him out of jail and like letting him stay on her couch. But she keeps like establishing boundaries with Maxx. By the way, there's also like no weird like overt sexual connection with Max.
Uh-huh.
Like, you'd think that Max and Julie would eventually become like a love story or something, but it doesn't. Nor would you find out like maybe Max is Julie's secret brother or something. Nor is he either. He's just some homeless guy named Dave who got hit by a car and was like at the wrong place at the wrong time, or the right place at the right time, if you like want to look at it that way.
Was he always like a massive?
Yeah,
dude?
he's just a big dude.
Okay.
Yeah, but the first 13 episodes of the Maxx show, made by MTV in 1995, 2 years after the show or the book comes out.
Right.
So like the book is it's 14 issues deep, and MTV's like, let's make a freaking show. And I'm like, I for the life of me, I can't believe they made that show. Because I like...
It's very MTV in 1995.
Yes.
It's kind of right up their alley.
Well, they paired it with another show called The Head.
And Aeon Flux.
Aeon Flux was Liquid Television. Max was MTV's Oddities.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wait.
Aeon Flux was part of Liquid Television. Oddities came on like after Liquid Television. Oddities was like this
more
weird,
bizarre.
Yeah, it was like this weird like circus carnival crap. And it was The Head, which is about like a random dude who has an alien that lives in his head, physically.
Sure.
And the Maxx.
I don't remember The Head.
You'd love it.
You would have dug it the
I
most.
know you would. It's just
Here's the thing.
it's just fun.
Maybe I saw an episode somewhere, but it doesn't ring out.
Came
in my
on
memory.
right before the Maxx, so that's the only reason why I know about the Head at all. I was like, I gotta watch the Maxx. By the way, like little kid Sal, like thanks a lot Image for putting on these shows on cable right when we got cable and at like the worst hours. Spawn was on MTV at like 11:35 or 12:35.
Yeah.
Maxx was on MTV's Oddities at like again like 12:30, something like that.
Yeah. Of course.
Yeah, because you can't have it on at like 9.
No, people
not.
are actually watching stuff then.
Exactly.
The popular show is on at 9. If we put this on at 9,
No,
it would
we'll
destroy the
lose
channel.
people, yeah.
I never had cable, so like I only got to watch those shows when we were down the shore.
There you go.
Because my grandparents had cable, and they were the ones that had the house technically.
When we go down the shore, we'd rent a place, and they had cable. And yeah, but by then, my friends had cable, and they taped the Maxx for me. So I'd have tapes of the Maxx. But tapes are these things you used to record TV shows on. So the first 13 episodes of the Maxx are literally the comic book, but like pulled off the page and freaking animated. And I don't mean like lazy flash bullshit animation like they would today. There's an AOL.
Yeah.
The air whale in that sequence, it represents some of my favorite moments in animation at all. In the show, he refers to how, like when the Maxx is lumbering through, I think Maxx is chasing and is trying to find Julie, who's been kidnapped by Mr. Gone. And as he's going through reality, he's like sifting in between the outback and the real world.
Yeah.
And he says like the world is like I'm caught in the spokes of a spinning wheel. And like they animate this wheel that like has like slits in it of the real world and the outback, and it actually moves. So they have like 2 different layers of reality, and like that's awesome.
That's
looking.
like this,
It's
but
that
animated.
sequence, but it's
Yeah.
animated.
And it's a blimp in the real world.
and on a moving street and people.
Yeah. That's
cool.
interesting.
Yeah.
So the outback is like also mirrors our world.
It's on top of
Or it's
our
on top
world,
of it,
but it's
yeah.
not like so for Maxx, there's like an open plain, but he's
Right.
walking through a crowded city street. So he's
Right.
like he's pushing people out of the way that he doesn't even know are there.
Right. So it's kind of like the Upside Down, but not, because Upside Down has buildings and
Yes,
stuff.
it has allegories or even
Yeah.
like actual representations of the things that are in the
Right.
real world.
This
and
is
not
more
only
like
that, you're not
selective.
actually there.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Like you're in the Upside Down,
Yeah, you're physically there. There's no version of you there. It's not
and
like
you're missing.
Yeah, it's not like if Hopper falls into the Upside Down, there's like a twisted Upside Down Hopper that whose body he inhabits.
Right.
But it is like that here.
Okay.
So the first 13 issues are Maxx goes to jail for attacking a random dude.
Yeah.
He gets bailed out by Julie. He
And now, how does she know to bail him out? Is she like?
oh, they
following him
call
around?
her because like
Oh,
she's the only person in his life. So they call her. They're like, we got this guy here
Again.
Yep, again.
Now,
you got to bail him
how
out.
does he know her? Because their connection
We
is that
establish
she
in the
almost killed him.
Yeah, we
and left
established
him
in the
an alley.
book. Oh no! After she almost kills him and leaves him in the alley, she goes home, and then Maxx is inexorably tied to the Outback as a result, and then he believes he has to protect her, so he just comes out
so
of
in the
nowhere.
real world, he approaches her.
Yes.
Okay.
And we never see that interaction because like the Maxx opens with them already
That's
having
already
a relationship.
happened.
Yes.
Okay.
And we do see a flashback to her hitting him with the car, but that's much later.
Mm-hmm.
But so Maxx gets bailed out by Julie, and they have this like little back and forth about how she's like, I don't even know who you are. Like I can't we can't make this a regular thing.
Yeah. She probably doesn't have a lot of money either.
No,
to be bailing him out.
she's what they call a freelance social worker.
Okay.
I don't know what the hell that's supposed to be.
That's not a thing.
But she is one, and I don't know how she gets paid. But
Okay.
she does. And so,
She's wearing
An insane outfit.
yeah, this is...
to work.
Well, she's at home. Her office is her home as well.
Yeah, it's a home office.
Oh.
Yeah.
But it's still a provocative outfit. Ensemble,
Yes.
if you will.
I mean, I think even a hooker would call that a provocative.
Well, what's interesting is the representative that shows up that like needs social work refers to her as one. Like he says, like, you kind of, I've never seen a social worker that dresses like you. You kind of look like a hooker. And she's like, well, thank you very much for the unsolicited advice. Let me remind you that I have a job and you have a blanket with vomit on it. So between the two of us, like, who's doing worse? And it's her way of kind of like expressing that, like, it's weird because she's like, if you dress a certain way and you act a certain way, you're asking for it. But then she dresses a certain way.
Right. Then she does it.
And the Leopard Queen also dresses in that way too. So you're kind of like, is it like her kind of like saying that she's a hypocrite? And in a way, like, Julie Winters is a huge hypocrite.
I mean, I think that might be a subconscious idea of like, I created an idea that like says maybe I'm asking for it,
Right.
but it's also not my fault. I can't help dress this way. Like,
But
it was out of my control.
I don't think she was dressing this way before she was attacked.
No, afterwards.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, I don't think she's trying to like own it. I think it's just kind of like a weird subconscious reaction.
Well, not even
Or
own
it's
it.
nothing because Sam Keith knows nothing about feminism.
Yeah.
And that's the real concern.
Right.
I like the fact that there's an 8-ball on the desk.
It's a magic 8-ball.
Magic 8
Is it?
Yeah.
Does she actually use it like
She
that?
does not, but it sits on a desk easily, so it's a magic 8-ball.
Well, that's
they
the
were very
thing.
popular during that time.
They were very
Yeah.
popular, or it's a representation of cocaine.
She never seems to be on drugs. She acts like a crazy person sometimes, but not because she's like on drugs.
Drugged out. Yeah.
Because I'd be very surprised if Image is like, look, we can show as much violence as we want,
And
but
nudity
no
and
drugs.
stuff, but no drugs. No, they have drugs all the time. It's
Okay.
there's a lot of pop culture iconography in this book. But so anyway, the idea is that like Gone implies a bunch of stuff about Julie, the Maxx, the Outback, and him. That there's like this grand mystery that's connected between the three of them.
Right.
And then we meet Sarah, who is like clearly his daughter, and it's like they kind of, he tries to play it like a little fast and loose about like, oh, who is she? We all know it's him. It's immediately apparent that Artie / Mr. Gone is Sarah's father. Sarah's this poor kid who's like wants to be a writer. She's tormented in school. She has one friend who's a real shithead and trades like momentary fleeting popularity for their friendship. And then she winds up like seeing some shit from the Outback. She sees a fight between Maxx and an Iz, and the Iz is dressed like somebody, so she thinks that Maxx is just fighting some regular dude.
Right.
And then the Iz dies, and when it dies, it reverts into an Iz, and she's like, holy shit. Like, this
That's
is
crazy.
I want to see fucked up stuff, but not like this.
Not like this.
Where you kill a man, and then that man
And then he
turns into a thing
Yeah.
that I've never seen before.
Yeah, that's
We
pretty
call that a
messed up.
scroll.
Yeah. Yeah, no, in the big two parlance.
Can you kill? Can a normal person?
Can a normal person kill?
Can a normal person kill an Iz in the real world?
I think so. Yeah, it's just that like Iz's don't usually give you the chance.
Right.
Also, Gone like.
Well, you
controls
don't know.
them.
They're just people, so
Well,
why would you kill
Iz's
them?
aren't naturally occurring here. They have to be
Right.
brought in by Gone.
Okay.
So, anyway, ultimately at the end of like the 13-issue run,
Yeah.
they're like questions are kind of answered by your own intelligence. Further questions are open-ended, but they're kind of like in that fun kind of like, oh, you'll never really know, but you guys fill in the blanks with your own imagination. But the implication is that like Julie realizes that she needs to leave because everybody's connected because of her and her connection to the Outback. and Mr. Gone.
Right, because he became so infatuated with her version of it.
Yes, and so she's like, I have to leave in order to kind of like see what, now that I know about the Outback and all this crazy crap, and I'm free from it, because she does wind up freeing herself from Mr. Gone's bondage.
Okay.
He dresses her up as a representation of every girl that's ever given him grief.
Uh-huh.
And then she frees herself using a tooth from one of the dead Izzes in his like creepy apartment, and then cuts his head off with it.
What? She cuts Gone's head off?
Yeah, within like the first six issues of the book.
Oh.
And then Gone arranges because Gone has different bodies in different Outbacks.
Okay, I was gonna say, like, he's got his head cut off. How does he do anything?
Yeah, Gone knows how to like transfer himself, and so he actually tricks he strong arms a doctor to sew his old head back to his old body and stuff. It's a whole mess, but the idea is that like Gone he coordinates some people into this, like putting a box that has his own head in it into Julie's apartment, like sneaking it in there, and as a way for him to like have a connection to that reality to Julie, so he knows what's going on. But anyway, Gone is kind of dead, but he also exists in the Outback.
Right.
And Gone needs Maxx to like get Julie right, and so he manipulates Maxx a little bit. But ultimately, at the end of the 13 episode run of the MTV show, Julie decides that she needs to leave. Gone is gone, and happy to leave Julie alone, because now that he's aware of like Sarah and stuff, he's like, I'm kind of more interested in like
my own daughter.
Yeah, and forming a relationship with her.
Okay.
And Maxx, because you're aware of these Outbacks, like, don't you want to know what your Outback is like when Julie's not around?
Wait, Maxx has an Outback too?
Yeah, because Maxx knows about Outbacks. He's awakened to the dreaming, so like he can have an Outback too.
So it's kind of like, don't you want to know what it's like to be in your own instead of somebody else's?
Exactly.
Okay.
But the whole purpose of Maxx is that he is a spirit animal and a guardian protector for
Maxx is our spirit animal.
Becomes her spirit animal.
Yeah, he embodies the spirit animal she should have had. And it's like, but I'm also a person with my own shit.
Right.
Aside from the fact that you were a homeless guy who got hit by a car with a lampshade on your head.
Well, yes, and that's ultimately what he is, but like he could be more. And so
I thought he was like only brought back to life because
he was. She just hit him.
He never died.
No, he never died.
He never died?
No, he was
okay.
just
No, it's not like he died and because the Outback like leached onto him, it like imbued him with life or something.
Not died, but I thought like he was basically going to die, and her insistence with the rabbit being like, no, I had to help you.
That would be more interesting.
And put you in a box and put you on my bed. He said, I hit you with my car, I put you in a box.
Yeah.
And I left, but like that insistence of I had to save you.
That would have been great. There's no way that Kieth was thinking that.
I got more that like because she hit him and kind of fucked him over, he got like sucked into her world.
Yes.
And it was like not good.
Well, because
like his life was like derailed and ruined by by her in a way.
Well, because she's like, I'm ruined, and I ruined you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true.
And so like getting out of her Outback and doing something
is actually like a personal victory. Like it should be his ultimate goal.
Yeah.
Because this human being exists only in his mind to protect a person who doesn't want protection.
And who also hit him with her car.
Yeah, and ultimately did like almost kill him.
Yeah.
And refused to take responsibility for it. But anyway, so ultimately at the end of the show / 13th issue, she leaves. Like she takes all of her stuff, and Maxx is like, don't leave, because like I don't know. At this point, we don't know a lot about Dave and the origins of his like connection to her. He thinks that because he is her Maxx, that if she leaves this reality,
like he'll cease to exist.
Yes. And he's like, I really like, I think I need you. And she's like, no, like I know you're real because I know the truth about who you are.
Right.
I'm still too much of a coward to tell you that I hurt you, but I am not such a coward that I'm not going to give you an opportunity to find your own way. And so she leaves, and then he's freed. And he gets to go to his own Outback.
That's interesting. I almost wish it was the other connection where he's like, I don't know what's going to happen without you.
Yeah.
Like, the whole thing that I was thinking of where, like,
he's her rabbit.
He's her rabbit, and, like, because of the thing that happened in her past, like, and the fact that she hit him and her connection to the Outback, she was able to bring him back
Yeah.
to life.
Right,
or
right. Like, no,
heal
you
him.
gave me a new life. I belong to you. That
And
kind of thing.
well, not only that, but like, you gave me that life. If you're no longer in it, will
I die?
Will I die?
Yeah, it's not even. Well, he doesn't know about the. I don't think he knows about the car accident by then, and by the 13th issue. I think he learns about it later on. But again, cool idea.
That would be so awesome.
But the show is a perfect distillation of what the Maxx could have been and what people remember it as. Because, like, yeah, there were
And then it
500
ended.
There were like 560,000 pre-orders of issue 2. Speculators market.
Yeah, it wasn't.
There are a lot
wasn't
of
real.
these in long boxes.
Yeah.
There are 2 of them on the couch right now. There's 2 more in the long box over there. I have a special Wizard half issue on the set, which is, by the way, his debut came in a Darker Image, which is a like weird like kind of collection of stories that like showcased, ooh, Generation 2 of Image. We got Blood Wolf and Maxx. Death Blow.
Yes, Death Blow. I saw an ad for Death
Yeah.
Blow. And,
So, like, ultimately, the Maxx is this, like, weird armchair amateur opinion about feminism and people and being broken
trauma.
and trauma. Kieth, like, clearly gets bored around, like, issue 16. And then, like, introduces random characters and goes down rabbit holes, forgive the metaphor. And, like,
So to
that he
speak.
never plans on paying off. But because his loyal fans are like really, really loyal and really, really rabid and vocal, they're like, clearly it's going somewhere. And he's like, no, it's not.
Stop.
I don't know anything.
Right.
But
I wanted
had
to draw
a few-
cool stuff.
yeah.
And I wanted to draw cool stuff in as many mediums as possible.
Yeah.
Don't make it mean anything.
I had a few ideas
I got
that
really
were,
high.
that were kind of cool.
I don't know if he was, you know what?
Peyote.
Probably.
Yeah.
Here's the thing.
Almost certainly.
This is so much of a peyote, like.
I mean, like the whole damn thing
Dreamscape
comes
thing.
from
he
Dream
talks.
Vision
It's
quests.
about. Yeah. It's about. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's about hallucinating in its conception. So.
Right.
I'm sure he was in an altered state when he came up with some of this stuff. But yeah, it seems like he had some ideas and then he ran out of them
Right.
for this. And he's just like, look, I
got
didn't
it.
really have any other stuff. So then he
Yeah.
kind of had to force it.
But it's interesting how the show, clearly they like, we did a 13 episode order.
Right.
Not enough people watched it because who the hell remembers MTV's Oddities?
Right.
I don't think The Head got season 2 and Maxx didn't.
Right.
So, you know, maybe their broadcast plan was a mistake, but maybe it wasn't because that show exists. And here's the thing.
It sounds like it ended in a pretty decent place,
It's a
though.
perfect place for the Maxx.
Yeah.
And here's the thing about the art, which we didn't get a chance to talk about.
Yeah.
It's some of Sam Kieth's best I've ever seen.
Well,
He's off the wall style when he's doing the Nightfall covers. Then you pick up issue 1 and it's somehow like really literal. And he does some beautiful things with like lighting and shade and shadow and proportion. And he's got it like kind of all down. And he's doing these weird things with panel layout that's like interesting, but also deliberately obtuse and weird. And it's just it's really, really, really cool.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because it's such a departure from the more experimental stuff that he was doing in the big 2 publishers.
Right.
but those were experimental in art,
Well, in covers.
and this is
they were
experimental in story.
it's both. No, like
Yeah.
his story art is more literal in Maxx than it was in like his Wolverine stuff. And I don't know why that is, but what's interesting is he clearly reverts back to type as the series progresses. You can watch it as it goes, like through just the first 13 issues, where it goes from a more literal to a more loose, very penciled, more like odd, avant-garde kind of style. At one point or another, he has Maxx refer to an image in the Outback, because regular Maxx and regular Julie wind up stuck in the Outback at one point. And they see the Jungle Queen who's been like hurt or damaged. And she looks more like what Sam Kieth clearly prefers to draw. And Maxx says, why does she look like a bad paperback cover? And I'm like, why would Kieth make fun of his own style? I think that's weird. But like, I don't know. And I don't know if it's because like Kieth is just pulling out all the stops for the first 6 issues, where he's like, it's got to look really, really good. And his looser style is actually just straight up looser. Or if there's like a deliberate intent behind his crazy stuff versus his literal stuff. I've never seen it more literal than in the first couple of issues of the Maxx. And maybe thematically it's supposed to like go off the rails as the story becomes more off the
Insane?
rails and
Yeah.
insane.
Right.
But I don't think so.
No? Oh, that would be cool. If the like art style
That would be
reflects-
cool, but at the same time, you just said like he kind of didn't know where he was going.
And I also, wouldn't that make sense for it to have been represented in the Outback?
Yeah.
Right.
When you go to the Outback, it should be looser and crazier.
Right. It should change
Well,
styles.
it
for
should be
that,
looser and
not-
crazier, but at the same time, it has such a strong foundation for what the characters mean in the book.
Yeah. Yeah, but also, it never goes back to this. In the subsequent 25
So it's almost like he was trying something and it was like, nah,
yeah.
I'm going back.
Right.
Or
'Cause I
I've
see what
been
you mean. These
working on the
panels are
Maxx
like very
for a while.
defined.
Yeah.
Like,
So it's nice and clean.
Well, and what's
then
interesting
later
is-
on, I get rushed.
Yeah, I mean, well, because he's doing 7 issues a year.
it seems like
I'm
he's-
Sam Keith, Sal.
It seems like he's actually putting much more work in later because there's a lot of creativity
Yes.
in the style later on. That's like every page is different.
Well, you're
Like,
talking, like, what you're referring to there, he's still doing the literal stuff. But at one point or another, Maxx has a dream in which he becomes a cartoon. Like he's
Well,
watching
that,
cartoons.
yeah,
By the
yeah.
way, in the show, it's amazing. Because it's that style, but it's like,
Yeah.
it's animated like a friggin' traditional cartoon
Right,
show.
right.
And the panel layouts in the book on the show are represented. Like if there's a big full image that has motion, that happens. And then if there's like 3 or 4 panels that overlay that, they appear and motion within those panels. Just real work. And you could tell that there's love and effort that goes into that. And it's weird because Kieth is clearly a producer on the show. And when he talks about the show, he talks about how like, he's like, they'll never make another show like that again. They will never give anyone more creativity and more freedom
right.
than they gave me.
Because it
Because it didn't
it's
work.
such a mess.
Well, because the show is an unmitigated success compared to the
Right,
book.
but like people didn't watch it, right?
because
So
of
it's
probably
like,
when it was on
I
the
think
channel.
I want to say more people watch the show than they read the comic.
well, I'm sure.
I
'Cause it's a
definitely
show
agree
on
with that.
MTV.
Yeah.
People who didn't read comics are aware of the Maxx.
Right. That's because it was on MTV.
Right.
MTV was doing cool experimental
People
shit.
didn't even know there was a Maxx comic.
Yeah. Yeah, they probably just assumed like, hey, this is a crazy show.
Yeah, it was and it is.
Oh, they made a comic out of it? Interesting.
And they wouldn't have any reason to dispute that because they pick up the first issue and be like, this is literally this is literally the show.
Yeah. But they didn't make a season 2 though.
No. Thankfully they did not, because it would have
Well,
gone
it would have been-
totally
yeah.
off the rails after that.
Yeah, yeah.
By the way, also another pro for the show, pitch perfect voice casting.
Yeah.
Everybody perfect.
I remember Maxx was very gruff.
Maxx was weird. It was like goofy. It was goofy and gruff at the same time. He could do both. He could do silly and also serious. Gone, amazing. Julie, pitch perfect. Just Sarah is great. Everybody is so awesome. And it's just such a good show.
I only remember his voice. And I think I remember him either waking up in the Outback or waking up in the alley. Like, that's all I remember is him
it's great.
talking like that.
Yeah. But the Maxx is bizarre. It's a product of its time. It'll never come again. You'll never see
Right.
anything like this again.
Yeah.
And I don't necessarily even think that's a bad thing. I like the fact that it's like this relic from the 90s.
Yeah.
I like that it could have come out any time. But I also like that it's this kind of like perfect time capsule of a time when I was reading comics. Like the Maxx is kind of like my Maxx in a way, because it's like this weird, inexplicable totemic beast that exists in my subconscious that like represents my unmitigated exploration into this medium in the first place. Like, I like this. Just like The Tick is my avatar for parody. You know, pre-Mel Brooks, like all I knew was The Tick.
Right.
And we'll never do The Tick on back issues either.
Now, did Sam Keith create any other stories after the Maxx?
No.
No? That was it?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Right? He did other things, but
But he
nothing
didn't
as
create
like
his own things,
it
or
was
it
not-
was smaller.
if it
in
was
scope?
smaller and self-published. It was never like
Like, he never worked for Image again.
no.
He didn't become like an Image superstar artist creator
No.
who made a bunch of stuff.
And I think that was part of his personality. Image was like, hey, we're driving Ferraris and setting the industry on fire. Right, Sam? I don't know. I guess. He's the ER of the 100 Acre Wood bunch. Hey, we're all going to go on this crazy event. You want to come? I don't know. I mean, why would we even go? Why would you even invite me? I'm not fun. I don't even have any
Look
good
what you created. This is amazing.
Is it? Why do you even like it?
You don't even get it. I don't even get it.
God,
if
you're
I
right.
don't
think
get
that you
it.
get
don't
it,
get
but
it.
there's nothing to get.
That is so him.
Do you think I'm making this like amazing statements? It's just nonsense.
It's just gobbledygook. It's just a
Yeah.
reason for me to draw. And then, like in 2012, IDW goes to Sam Keith, they're like, we want to republish the Maxx. He was like, what? Why? They're like, well, we heard that you didn't like the coloring, which by the way is superior. But he's like, they're like, we heard you didn't like the coloring in the original series, so we're gonna like let you redo it. You think people are gonna buy it? Why would anyone want to buy it now? People were barely buying it 20 years ago. You think they're gonna buy it now? IDW is like, trust us, dude. We've been doing this a while.
Right.
And he's like, all right.
Okay.
So they made maximized Maxx books, where it was just these individual books,
But with
again,
different
but with
coloring.
slightly different coloring.
That's weird.
Very. And it didn't last I don't think it made it the 35 issues. I think they did the 35 issues so they can republish it as like a trade.
Yeah.
But
But like when they were selling the individuals, they're like, never mind.
okay, we'll just do it all and put it out later.
So is this with the new coloring?
Yeah.
I was gonna say her outfit
Completely changed
is
the
a
colors.
totally different color. It was a pink top before, now it's white.
Yep.
And it's never green. The hell?
It's green in the trade. Paper in the trading cards.
Interesting.
There's a question, IDW. Where's the trading cards?
Yeah. Where's the reimagined,
Don't do
recolored-
that.
You know what I'd like? When it comes to like, if you want to bring back the Maxx in any way, besides putting the show on Blu-ray, which would be freaking tight.
Is it not?
Oh no.
That'd be dope.
You can get it on DVD. I think MTV put them out. Or you could just get them.
Online.
It used to be streaming on YouTube for free, but like MTV noticed, and then now they're gone.
Wow.
But I remember in college I bought bootleg DVDs, and they're just as good. So, you know, you go to any con, I'll bet you can find the Maxx.
Also, here's the thing. I don't want to give MTV any of my money because what they
No.
do now is garbage.
Well, they've been doing for 20 years. It's
Well,
been
yeah.
just straight up trash. So
do
who
now,
cares?
yeah.
But they did this one good thing, and it was called making the Maxx into a cartoon show. But the one thing I want from the Maxx, if they're going to make something besides a Blu-ray adaptation of the Maxx cartoon show,
It's a Batman versus Maxx comic. Hey, guess what you
I
gave with?
can't believe we're getting another Maxx book, and drawn by Sam Keith.
Yay!
I think it's written by him too. I don't know.
I mean, it's gotta. Okay, it doesn't have to be written by him, but the fact that it's gonna be drawn by him, we're gonna see a Sam Keith Batman.
I've seen a Sam Keith Batman.
Yeah, he did the.
He did all the Nightfall covers.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, I'm buying it.
Yeah.
And if it sells well, we'll do it on back issues.
I
If this
love-
does well, if people care about the Maxx, like we'll do it on back issues. But I doubt it. We're doing this because of Batman versus Maxx.
Right.
Yeah,
We're riding the coattails of a book no one's gonna buy.
but your poster,
Yeah.
the Wolverine and Venom one,
Yeah.
I love that poster.
It is a sweet
it's
poster.
Awesome.
It's cool.
That's interesting. So then you'll love it because like that's Sam Keith style. Like that's the real
Yeah,
Sam Keith style.
that's the Batman I'd want to see.
See, I want to see Batman versus Maxx, but from like the first 2 or 3 issues of the Maxx.
Interesting.
I like that style. I know it's more literal, and people be like, "You plebe." Like, shut up, it's great.
I'm digging more of the art later in the book. It reminds me a lot of late Calvin and Hobbes.
Yeah.
Like it seems like he's clearly.
Oh, and he is very much influenced. I mean, Calvin Hobbes appear in the book.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
But yeah, he's
But
clearly
just like
influenced by
visually,
Watterson.
yeah.
He does very, very interesting things with shadow and character, but like the
But
things he does
also,
with watercoloring.
Watercolor,
Yeah.
which I remember Bill Watterson was getting into at times.
Yes. And I don't mind that if he wants to like punctuate something or if he wants
Yeah.
to do an amazing cover, but like if he's telling a story, I gotta follow it. I need to be able to visually figure out what the hell's happening.
Well, yeah.
But, you know. Anyway, the other thing that I want is a Bible of the Maxx. Like, I want a book.
A Bible.
that explains it all.
Well, I don't, no, they don't need to, like, but this is what happens. It's more like, I want a book that has, like, all of the crazy animals and, like, monsters.
Oh,
I'd
you
like
want the
to see-
encyclopedia?
Yeah, like a treasury book that has, like, all these crazy, like, sketches and like, proto art and, like, evolution of the Maxx kind of stuff, like an art
You
book.
want to see where it all came from.
Well, and I want it like all kind of collected.
Yeah.
You know, almost like an animal book. You know what I mean?
I know what you're talking about.
I have no idea what you're talking about. An animal book?
Yeah, you know, like a book that collects all, like a zoological book of like the outback.
Okay.
These are all the creatures of the outback. Check it
Right.
out.
Yeah.
You know, and like little stats on all the animals. That kind of
Yeah.
thing.
So like a page for each character or whatever with a bunch of stuff about it.
Yeah, like little sketches and, like,
a little
informa-
blurb about it. Like I
Yeah.
created this when I was doing that. And
Exactly.
then the next page is Julie, and then the
Yeah.
next page is
Yeah, or if you need like 4 pages, give it 4 pages.
Well, yeah,
But, like,
the bigger characters.
yeah,
get
and then you could
more.
actually do a thing with the cards. All the original cards that aren't just like literal
Yeah.
panels you just slapped onto a freaking trading card. and charged
What? How did you know?
Yeah, I cracked the code on your little scheme. But like the original art for the cards, like put that in there too.
Yeah.
Especially if like there's a character in there that you created for the cards you never showed in the book, which they did. But anyway, that's what I would want. A comprehensive thing that just shows you like a totemic distillation of the Maxx made into like a book.
A legend.
Yeah, a legend of the Maxx, if you will. So
Do they explain or get into the name, the Maxx? Like, does that mean something?
the Maxx means it's a word that means your spirit animal.
I see.
Like we all have Maxes.
And who's the Max's Max? Do we meet? Or Dave's
We
Max?
do meet Dave's Maxx, or see his spirit animal.
Okay.
Really?
Yeah, it's not like a person who's like, I'm your friend, let's go. It's just like, this is my, like, Sarah has a Maxx and it's a horse.
Right.
And eventually that horse does go like, hey, of course it says hey, it's a horse. But yeah, I think Maxx has an animal. And I think it's very unremarkable, as I recall.
Oh.
It's a box.
Is this Sarah's?
Yeah. Yeah, it's the horse that she sees is like part of the architecture of the building she looks out the window from. And so it's like, it's the visuals of everyone's Maxes are like apparent within either like metaphorical panels or in like literal structure of the buildings they live in.
Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah. And also Pitt shows up sometimes. For no
And
explainable
Pitt's there
reason.
too.
And
I'm in
money.
a book.
Oh, and by the way, we never talked about the claws. It's just his middle finger. And I want to say that's Sam Kieth in his Eeyoreisms being like, no, F you. Like, the whole book is flipping you off.
And they're huge. I'm giving you the biggest fingers I can.
Because, by the way, never ever does like standards and practices or anything like go like, is this guy just flipping us all off? Like,
Well-
cartoons, shows, toys, everything, he's doing this. And like, if you look at his hands,
it has like
can see the
two-
fingers.
the finger is the claw. And like, just because it's like a point, now it's a claw, he refers to them as claws. He doesn't go like,
Yeah.
I'm flipping you off.
But it's also massive. Like it's bigger than any of his other fingers.
Yes, but it does occupy the space where the middle finger would be. And there's no like middle finger behind it.
Yeah, but it's not like he uses his claw to like
Yes, he
also like
does.
grab things and
Yes,
stuff.
he does.
Oh, he does?
He can like
Yes.
hook it and articulate it like a finger.
Like a finger. He's flipping you off. And I think it's Kieth being like, this is all bullshit.
It's all bullshit,
he's,
man.
He's like the American Alan Moore. It's all horseshit anyway,
It's all
right?
bullshit then anyway. That reminds me of a poem that I wrote. I don't remember if I told you this story.
No.
When I was in high school, my
It's when we all wrote poems.
junior year English teacher wanted us all to enter a
Like a
piece of
poetry
writing into the poetry contest.
Okay. Because no one
And,
was entering the
yeah, and I
poetry
was like, I don't really want to do that. And she's like, okay, you're all going to be graded on it. It's an assignment.
Right.
Damn it.
And I was like, that's bullshit. You can't like make us. So, you know,
Yeah.
I rejected the premise. And so I wrote a poem that was like my like parody of like a free association doesn't rhyme unstructured poem, which was about not wanting to wake up in the morning. It was about the alarm clock, like waking you up. And it was very like beatnik, like
Oh, yeah.
bullshit. And I was just like, ah ha ha ha. Like there's nothing
no
behind
substance to this. Yeah.
I'm imitating a style that I think is ridiculous and
Right.
pretentious and silly. And I won the fucking contest with my middle finger to the teacher.
I think that's exactly what the Maxx is.
Yeah.
I think it's just, I think it's
Like
Kieth
he unintentionally produced something that
people really found meaning in.
yeah.
And he's like, oh. I got to end this book as fast as possible.
But it didn't start off like that.
I think it did.
He's flipping you off in the first book.
I think
Sure.
He's already.
Yeah, yeah.
But at the same time, if you want to look at it like that, you could also I have a different theory.
Okay.
All right,
right.
so it's the world that he lives in that he's flipping off. It's not the reader. It's
Yeah.
the realities that he's stuck in.
Like
I'm a homeless person. My life sucks. I'm the protector in
Max,
this outback.
like he's railing against his like cruddy like hand
in
was
his
dealt?
existence, yeah.
Okay. Not that it's Kieth.
And he's using the claws, his middle fingers, to attack and destroy the world around him.
Okay. Or he's like, or in defiance. I defy you, like expectations. I'm the Maxx. That's fair.
Now, what is the meaning of the panel here, or
the
page
floating
here with
eyes?
the floating eyes?
Well, because
Seems to be an homage
oh, that's just
to Great Gatsby's
Great Gatsby?
cover, perhaps.
Definitely. But it's also Julie. Like we're clearly in her mind. Like,
Yes.
we're seeing her.
It's
but
the representation of being
The first time, yeah.
yeah. That visualization is. I want that as a friggin' poster.
You can
And in the
probably get
cartoon,
it.
it's amazing. No, you can't.
Well, you can get it as a trading card.
No,
then you can hang it on your wall.
can't. No, you can't.
Big magnifying glass.
There's a lot of and a surprising lack of Maxx merch. It was all made in '93. You
Well,
know?
guess what you're going to see soon?
More Maxx stuff? I think I have it all. You can see it on the set. I got 2 Maxx figures. I got all the Maxx cards. I have every issue of the Maxx. I got this freaking Maxx traded paperback. I got this Wizard magazine with Maxx on the cover.
The Maxx cards are great. There should not be Maxx action figure. There shouldn't be action figures of this book.
Oh,
It's
I agree.
Ludicrous.
Action figure, no.
That is
Like
but that's
statues?
McFarlane
This is
all
like-
over it. That's McFarlane being
I
like, yo,
know.
Keith, I'm gonna make a
But
Maxx figure.
it like demeans this like beautiful.
Doesn't matter.
If it is,
Image is making...
Well, the art is gorgeous. I don't
Yes.
care.
No, you're
like,
right. It
how
is.
like cynical the story might be.
yeah,
That's just a stupid
No, it is.
theory I
Like-
have anyway. Like
Right.
it's like.
it's a beautiful book.
And to take this and be like, okay, now I'm gonna craft like a 3D physical representation of this like
think-
interpretive like stylistic art is like a crime.
I think if there was a Julie Winters figure, it would be a problem.
Yes, I guess there's not.
There is not. They made
Well-
Maxx, and he came with Iz's.
And not only that,
Alright.
but you have Todd McFarlane who created Spawn, and Image is making these amazing Spawn figures. Like,
Yep.
let's
Well,
make other
McFarlane's
figures.
making-
Spawn lends itself to awesome action figures. Because
Yes.
Spawn is an awesome action figure.
Yes.
Like the Maxx, this is not an action figure. This is a
This is a comic. Spawn is not a comic. Spawn is a friggin' toy line.
like this is not an action figure. Like this is a crazy freaking thing. It doesn't look like
Anything in reality.
anything.
Yes.
Do you want an action figure of Ozymandias or Dr. Manhattan?
No.
Nobody wants that.
No. People do. No, they make them. There's a new one coming
Yeah.
out soon. But like,
No, I don't want that.
yeah.
Well,
well,
There
they're here
shouldn't be
anyway.
any.
clearly people want that.
I agree. No, hey, listen, I have 2 Maxx figures, so, you know,
Yeah.
stuff it. But I will say, it's funny, they did make, okay, here's where it goes crappy,
Should there
right?
be a Mr. Gone action figure? You can have him like raping people, like.
know
What
what's
with
funny,
his
though?
with his raping action?
Yeah,
You know what's
right?
cool though? The Gon does lend himself in the beginning of the story to being a cool figure. Like he could, like he's in the cape and the cape is big and it comes out. Like
Yeah,
no, it's
yeah.
a cool looking visual.
But you don't see him much.
No,
don't see
there
him clearly a lot.
There is, by the way, a Maxx statue that I really dig, but it's more like a diorama.
Yeah. That's a little better.
It is. Well, because it's a statue
It's
as opposed
actually
to a plaything
art in and of
that is
itself,
delivered.
yeah.
Hey, figures are. I think figures can become art.
They can
we
be.
have a Ben action figure that someone made.
That's
That is
great.
art.
That's awesome.
No, but there's. I think that McFarlane tried. No, McFarlane's like, yo, Keith, you're selling 500,000 units. You got to make some fucking dough off the side. Here,
Yeah.
buddy. Let's do it.
Did you not see the trading cards I am making?
I am
Under
neck
duress.
deep in work. Okay, I've got to produce this cartoon show I hate. I got to make whatever the hell they're called, trading cards that I'm never
Okay,
gonna
okay.
use.
To be fair, the trading cards are just the images I'm pulling anyway.
Yeah, literally, I'm not doing any work on the trading cards whatsoever.
Here, cut out. Make that a
He
card.
didn't even do that. He was just like, here's the first 6 issues. Do what you will.
Find cards amongst these images.
Like, wait, we need like 200 cards, so you got to draw at least like 60 more drawings. Okay, there you go. They did so they made the Maxx figure, which
Yep.
came with a headdress that you can add or take off,
Oh.
so you can have like Outback, and it came with a white is or 2 white is. And,
Well, it should only be
Or
a white
is?
yeah, is.
What is the plural of is? Is it?
It's is.
Okay.
Which is funny because it was written ISZ, and no one knew how the hell to pronounce it until like the letters page and the cartoon show, where he was like, it's pronounced is, like IS. And then people were like, what about more is?
Right.
They were like, those are Izzes. And the show thankfully answered all those questions. But then you could get the bag of Izzes, which is just a sack full of the same Izz, but you can get like white and black ones. But if you bought the sack for $50, it came with a rare red Izz, which doesn't appear anywhere in the comics whatsoever because F you.
That's another connection to the entire conspiracy. It's not green.
Oh, damn it.
No, but like her top was red, but now it's green, and
Yeah.
now the Izz is
pink.
red. I don't know. Maybe it's blood. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's just a bloody Izz.
Doesn't make any sense. The Izzes turn black when you bring them in the real world. That's the only change the Izzes go through. Anyway.
If it was a green Izz, you would have had me shitting the sofa.
You would be
being
like,
no, it's not. I can't.
I cracked the case!
Green. Sam Keith, what is it about green?
Click.
Another one.
There's more. He's got a tally.
Yeah.
Right next to the phone.
Green.
He's got a rotary phone.
Yeah. Oh, of course he does. Oh, by the way, there's a funny thing about the phone. This is just me talking about Maxx facts with Sal. There's a fun moment. There's a post-it note in Julia's office in the first issue that has a phone number on it.
Oh.
Yeah. And it's a real phone number.
Uh-oh.
And people called it, and he was like, oops.
Oops.
Because instead of it doing 555, he was sick of the 555,
Yeah.
so he wrote 585.
No, they do 555 because it's not real.
Yes,
If
but
you
he
do
thought-
anything else, it
And
could
he thought
be a
it'd be
number.
fun to do 585.
Why does everybody do 555? I'm going to do something. No, there's a specific fucking reason they use 555.
Yeah.
It's not because everyone does it. It's
Yeah.
because that's what you're supposed
Call
to do.
Sam 585, and then the rest of the number.
So,
And by the way, in the trade,
Call Sam. Sam Keith?
right? Yeah, maybe that's his real number.
That's not his number.
Let's call him up.
and the coloring
Well,
is
it's already
is
out there. I'm not
different.
going to
It's
change it
inferior,
now.
right? It's not nearly as good. It's not nearly as
No,
vibrant.
No.
I also
The paper is different.
Why would they change his hat to
Like it's
from red
glossy.
to like
I don't
brown?
know.
Like what
right?
the fuck?
Yeah.
Well, like that guy's coat is green, and then there's brown.
That's Max's coat.
That's Max's coat.
Oh, that's the Maxx?
yeah, everything's like more like subdued.
Yeah.
I guess because the real world is gritty. Wait, are there different changes going from the Outbacks
Oh
too?
no. You mean you mean is he sifting through worlds right here?
Not sifting through worlds, but like
Is there color
it looks
changes?
like in this one,
Yeah.
it's vibrant, and in there the real world is grittier. I'm wondering if in
No.
here, the Outback
Oh,
is
is like more dull or something?
a little more dull, but in there it's more vibrant.
No.
Like they made that.
No, the Outback looks pretty dull here too.
Yep.
Well, shit.
Everything's just. I mean, the art style is consistent within this book, and it's consistent
Yeah.
within
No, I
there.
recommend, by the way, like if you ever go on to read or just look at the Maxx the first time, go find the first issue.
The cat's eyes are green in the book. They're not.
Oh my god.
If you
What is it about green?
There isn't.
It's
You're
just
just
a
looking
fun
for things.
color.
There's no face on Mars. I'm sure it was that like Sam Keith was like, the leopard's eyes aren't really green. Stupid.
Right.
Even though it's a fake leopard in a fake
Or
universe.
maybe there's more like browns available now. She's like, no, I can make the eyes brown and the.
it's just George Lucas all over again. Nobody asked for you to change anything.
I always wanted to use like different shades of brown in
Yeah.
the cats so you could see the cat's eyes brown, but like distinguish it. But they said like, no, if it's all brown, it'll just look the same. 'cause
Right.
we
You'll
don't have-
lose that
We only
wonderful
have like
cat's
3
eye.
browns. Now I have like 30 browns.
Yeah. Like, nobody asked for that. Also, like, there's something about the glossy pages versus like these like
Oh
this
yeah,
rough
this
paper
comic
texture.
lends itself more
Like-
to the less gloss.
Yeah,
no
this
gloss.
needs to be like it's
Yeah.
pulpy and it's like the first issue of the Maxx. Subsequent issues are like who cares? Like over time, it just gets more and more like into itself. But like the first issue of the Maxx is just like it's like this thing you shouldn't have. It's like this thing you found from someplace. Like someone gifts you the Maxx.
Or you found it in a dugout.
Yeah. It's like a good baseball glove. Like, once you lose your virginity, you get a copy of the Maxx. It's just some stupid bullshit. By the way, I should also point out the guy who plays Santa in our Christmas specials told me that he would give me his comic book collection if I talked about a book from his collection that he likes, which is the Maxx. And I was like, way ahead of you, buddy.
I've
But he
wanted
was
to do that for a long time.
time, so it worked out. But thank you, Santa, for your books. We do appreciate it. And of course, I did love the Maxx. And he's like, yeah, I picked it up because the chicken, it's super hot. And I was like, God damn it. Like, I mean, like, yeah, I'm sure a lot of 12-year-olds grabbed a copy of the Maxx because of this. Like,
Yep.
Because the back cover?
Because the back cover said, next issue, she'll be wearing this.
well, because every issue for a little while,
She wears this in the first issue.
Oh, does she?
the back cover was the front cover of the
The
next
next
issue.
issue, yeah.
It was kind of a neat idea that I didn't see repeated anywhere else.
Yeah. Yeah, okay.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, you see her there.
So I didn't realize what Sal just said. So when it said like coming next, I was like, oh, it's a reveal of that character.
Right,
No, it's
no.
like literally this cover is
yeah,
coming next.
this issue will be here next. You should check it out, I hope. But yeah.
Or don't.
I don't
don't
give
care.
a shit.
Sam Keith.
It's not real anything.
Right.
It's just nonsense.
It's a bunch of nonsense that I made. I duped a bunch of poor children into buying this
So
book.
what
Is there some weird anagram we can make out of like Alan Moore's name?
And it becomes Sam Keith? Yeah.
Did you
I
find
know it's not.
any clues to the mystery in the cards? Were you like, oh,
No.
I found it now?
Straight up no.
Okay.
Is there any internet theories that are working out?
I don't think so. I don't think anyone on the internet cares about the Maxx.
So it was just bullshit that you'd find extra hidden
you found
clues.
like the seed bringer was one of the big things. Like that, I think Mr. Gone was a seed bringer, but at the same time I don't, because like then you establish who Artie was and his whole like past, and there's no time for him to have done that, so it's like weird. Because Iz is sprout from seeds, and the Maxx's mask is the same mask that the seed bringer wears, and that Iz's fear the Maxx, and so you thought like maybe they fear him because it's like a warrior wearing the face of their progenitor, but like no.
But no.
That is
No,
weird.
That.
like none of that. So you know, the Maxx. You think we'd get away with doing the cover of our
If we just flip
show,
everybody off?
flip everybody off, and I'd be like, no, they're claws.
I don't think so.
Well, maybe if you put like a prosthetic
I
like
think
claw
not.
thing around it.
I think if I tried,
Wolverine did it.
yeah, in a PG-13 movie though.
Yeah.
But once again,
YouTube is not PG-13. Oh, not for monetization anyway. Anyway, that's the Maxx, I guess.
that was fun.
Not
I had
your
a good
standard
time
show.
with this.
It didn't really help. I don't think we sold any issues of the Maxx today, but if we did,
Maybe we
I'll
sold
put a
some
link in the
issues
description
of,
box below this video for you to get Maxxed Out,
Yeah.
Volume 1.
And go pick up Max Batman. Batman
Yeah,
versus
Batman
the Max,
Maxx.
whatever the hell it is.
Yeah, whichever one. I think it's Maxx versus
Maximum
Batman.
Batman.
They
with
should have
two
called
X's.
it Batman Maxxed Out.
Oh.
Then they could have sold a couple of copies of Maxxed Out. I don't know what the hell it's called. I think it's just Batman versus Max or Batman Max. Or
There's an
something.
is contemplating life, being like, I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah. No, I think it was told to go. No, that was accidentally brought from the Outback into here, and he didn't get morphed. So it's a pure is in the real world.
Interesting. What does that mean? What does it mean?
Yeah, right. What does it mean? Nothing. And you can find meaning in pretty much anything, even a poem written by a cynical high school student. but I think I want to say it comes from a pure place. That eventually Sam Keith's like self-deprecation gets the best of him, and then he just like he destroys it.
Maybe nobody got it. And because nobody got it, he's just like, it doesn't mean anything.
Like,
Oh,
'Cause
no,
you're
that
not gonna
like
get it anyway.
No,
there was a meaning and no one guessed it, so I'm just gonna sit
The
on it.
day
forever.
Todd McFarlane came to him and offered him an action figure contract, he's like, oh. No one's ever going to like this for the real reasons this book is here.
Right.
Sure, Todd. Sure, let's just make action figures.
Yeah, we'll make a bunch of Iz's. How about an Iz grab bag? We'll make them different colors.
Make a stuffed Iz. Kids can fucking go to sleep with an Iz under their arms.
I would love a stuffed Iz. Are you kidding me?
That ruins the Iz. They're
I
sinister,
know.
horrible creatures.
In the Outback.
No, you get a pure white one
yeah,
instead.
a pure white one.
But guess what? After time, it becomes corroded and dirty,
Yeah, it
and then it
becomes
becomes
black,
black.
yeah.
Oh, you know what? We can make a horrible like dying rabbit that you
Yeah.
can give to your daughter to
You
keep
push a
in her
button
crib.
and it just scrapes its foot against the box.
How about a crabbit?
I would love
Take a
crab
stuffed
Iz.
rabbit.
yeah.
Are you kidding me? Yeah. No, I would love a stuffed Iz. That's like they made stuffed bone dolls.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, that's true. That's. Oh, they made a Gandalf doll. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
cares?
Bone's not like it's like rape is not a topic in Bone.
No.
You know, like
Yeah. No, that's true.
Bone's like a fun, like whimsical adventure. Like there's stuff going on in Bone, but
Yeah.
like it's also just like a fun.
It's a fun. It's a fantasy adventure.
Yeah.
It's a cartoon fantasy.
This
adventure.
is not a fantasy adventure.
There's nothing fun about.
This is a dark.
Oh no! There's a
Like-
story. There's a little boy in an alley who accidentally like gets his arm caught in a hole that Gon leaves from an is to the outback. Like they're looking through it, he reaches in, and then it like closes on him. And he's stuck there. And he's stuck there for like a couple days.
Oh wow.
And like his friend is like, I think I figured out a way to get you out. But if I do get you out, I get to keep your bike. He's like, okay, yes, I'll do anything. He's like, okay, great. And he brings out a hacksaw and he carves his arm off. And then you never see those kids again. What?
Wow.
That's this world.
That's messed up.
Yeah. Where's his action figure? His arm
With,
can
like,
come on and
arm-
off.
Yes.
Do you ever see any follow-up of the arm in the Outback?
No.
Like Max comes
Yeah, Max
across
like,
the arm.
"Ugh."
That would be awesome.
I want to say.
But it turns into something?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
things do that.
It's like a tree branch or
yeah.
some
I don't know.
fucking thing.
I want to
don't know.
say that there is
It's like
some
a
payoff. but
flower.
Right. Because it became something beautiful in the Outback. No. The Outback is a really, really horrible place. No one should want to go there.
Right.
The Outback is born from trauma. You should not want an Outback.
Well,
Yeah.
her Outback is born from trauma. Everyone's got an Outback.
Kind of.
It's just most of them suck.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, good point. Okay, fair enough. But
Oh,
I
and-
like
and-
Dave's Outback in the cartoon.
Right. Yeah.
It's kinda nice.
In the Maxx video game, you like hold
Yeah.
down like R2 to like transfer
Switch
into
between,
the Outback
yeah,
mode.
Where is the Genesis Max game? And the SNES counterpart too.
Yeah.
So everyone can have dick measuring contests over which one looks better. Yeah, the SNES version.
You get a bundle. You get Toe Jam and Earl and the Max.
Dude, it would have sold.
Oh yeah.
There's a Tick Genesis game.
Of course.
There is a goddamn 7-Up like
Spot.
spot video game.
Yeah, I know.
Of course.
Listen, the Tick video game, unplayable. The Spawn video game, which one, first of all? But I'm talking about the one for the SNES and Genesis. It sucks too.
Why? That should be awesome.
Because it's just a side-scrolling shoot-'em-up thing.
Yeah.
You jump and you shoot guys from
shoot.
windows.
Jump and shoot.
Yeah, it's just Mega Man with better graphics. It sucks.
Oh.
But a Max game, you just run. That's it. You just run from one side to the other, and you push a button, flip. Now you're in the Outback.
Yeah.
There's too many enemies on this side. You flip to the Outback. Now the
Yeah.
enemies are like Susanons and stuff, and you can easily splat them and stuff.
Much like Sonic when you're collecting the orbs
Yeah.
in that 3D world, you're just running.
Yeah.
Constantly change
Oh,
direction.
with the special stage.
Well,
in
that's
Sonic
a
3?
3D special stage to get the Chaos Emeralds. That's
Yeah.
No, I'm talking about just this. Just something that they could make in Flash. Right now.
You mean something a fan could make?
Yep.
And when an is comes up, you press B and you go like. And
Or you
like, stab
just,
them with
you
your
just squish
claws.
them. You just jump on them.
Oh, jump.
Dude, that's an app game waiting to happen.
He does have giant feet, so
Yeah.
that would make sense.
Like a rabbit, by the way, indicating. You know.
Oh.
But yeah, like that'd be great actually. It's just Flappy Bird or like Mario Run. Mm-hmm. You just da-da-da-da-da, and you just push a button, he hops, and he just squishes Izzes, and that's the game.
Yeah. And then when it becomes like real popular,
Sam Keith can be like, "Oh God damn
send
it!
Sam Keith a letter. You're like, hey, I played your game. It's great. I love the
He's,
Max.
what game?" And the kid's already gone because he made $1 million, and
Yep.
Keith's like, "Well, I guess that makes sense."
Yeah.
If you're a new viewer of this channel, you might have been like, "What the hell was this?"
Yeah.
Well, go back and watch like the first or second episodes.
That's
of our
pretty
channel.
much what
Yeah.
this was.
That's what this was, a little true to form, and it was because like back then I was like, oh, we'll just do anything I feel like, and then it was like,
Right.
oh, people are not watching. We should do Batman and does Superman work? No. Okay, Spider-Man.
Spider-Man?
Yes.
There we go.
So next episode you'll see Ultimate Spider-Man. Just kidding. We're not doing Ultimate Spider-Man for a little while.
No.
No, we did it too close.
Yeah, it's too soon.
All right.
I think Sinestro's next.
Cool.
See you next week.